Have you ever noticed how a single desire, maybe for success, recognition, or even a relationship, can slowly take over your mind? And before you know it, it's all you're thinking about, and you're feeling anxious or restless, or even angry about things. In today's session, we'll explore the ancient psychological map hidden in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna unveils how desire can quietly transform into distress and what you can do about it. Stay with us. By the end, you'll know how to break that cycle before it takes over, using timeless wisdom that still works in our hyper distracted modern world. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ambika, and I'm one of your hosts here at Ashram Talks. And I'm joined today by Haripriya Benedict, who will be taking us through today's wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita and just how we can apply that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. So, okay, these two verses I've meditated on many times. And yeah, and what happens when we get stuck in this loop that we're about to read about, and how to pull ourselves out of this loop is what today's topic is about. The drama of life that kind of snags us and takes us for a roller coaster ride, sometimes not willingly, and what we can do to connect what's actually deeper than that, what's real, what's true, and what can help us see that roller coaster ride before we get on it, so that we can choose not to get on it. So we'll start with this verse 62 in chapter 2, verse 62 and verse 63. And I'll just give my gratitude to my guru, Bhaktivai Bhavapuri Maharaj, who is always enlightening from the inside out. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshud Unmilitam Yena Tasma Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll jump right in. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. And I'm actually going to go right to the next one because they're so connected. From anger, delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. Wow, so that's the roller coaster ride. That's the material drama. Rade Rade. Welcome, Colleen. That is the roller coaster ride. So one thing I wanted to mention, and we're gonna kind of transform the topic. We're not gonna spend as much time on that process of, like, I want something, then I don't get it, and then I'm angry that I don't have it, then anger comes, and maybe I completely, like, I'll give you an example actually before we go deeper. So, like, if I want something from my husband, this is a hypothetical, but and he's not doing it, he's not doing what I want, so then all of a sudden anger comes, right? And what happens with when they talk about bewilderment and loss of memory, it's also referring to, like, we don't even remember that we love this person. We don't even remember that our real goal is a relationship. So anger comes, right? We don't get what we want. They're not doing what we want. Anger comes and it totally bewilders us, actually. We do things we regret later that seem so logical when we're angry, right? We're like, we feel justified and anger is there. And then we hurt our relationship. We literally cause pain and suffering and damage. We damage the trust, we damage the safe space, and we forget what we really want. In that moment, we're completely bewildered. We're taken over by that anger and by the lust. They talked about lust. Lust is like wanting something, just like really wanting something, to enjoy something, and all of a sudden our intelligence is gone. Like, how to create what we want, we've lost the thread. We're creating what we don't want in that moment. And that's the material pool of so much suffering. Because at that juncture, now we're not getting what we want anyway. The person feels maybe distant from us, not trusting, and we're we're not even in touch with what we actually started out desiring. Like we don't even get clear about like maybe the externals of what we wanted, that what's the internal of what we wanted. Like maybe we wanted them to do X, Y, or Z, but how come? Underneath that, usually there's something there that's a little bit deeper. Like maybe it's we wanted to feel valued, or we wanted to feel honored or connected or taken care of. Well, we definitely will not be feeling honored, taken care of, or valued after the anger has set into our experience, into our relationship. So that's the example. But today I want to even focus more on what's what's deeper than that, right? So that's the material sphere. Now how do we get a higher taste, meaning we have desires, we know we're going to have endless desires coming in. That's just part of being in the material sphere. And those desires that are endlessly coming in, how do we transform them to not lead us down that roller coaster that I just referenced that's here in 62 and 63, but to lead us to something that's going to actually give us what we want, that's going to help us have whatever it is that we actually wanted at the core there, like feeling honored or valued or important or accomplished or loved or safe, right? Usually those are the core desires. And so before I go to a little bit more detail about how to connect to those experiences, I want you for a moment to think about yourself when you were 5 years old. When you were 5 years old, maybe imagine you're looking at a picture of yourself. Now, when you look at that picture, do you say, "Who's that? Who's that stranger?" No. No, of course not. You say, "That's me. That's me. That's Haripriya when she was 5, or that's Colleen when she was 5, or Ambika when she was 5." And now we know by science, by basic chemistry, that there is not one molecule in your body right now that was in your body when you were 5. So that is showing yet that there's nothing material that's the same, right? There's not one molecule. Matter has completely transformed and changed, right? It's not that the molecules grew, they've actually transformed. So, yet you have a constant identity. Yet you recognize that person that was in that 5-year-old body is the same as the person that's in your current body. So, as the body is changing, there's this constant identity that we call ourselves. I call Haripriya. So, what is that constant identity? Like, just from that example, we understand that that constant identity has nothing to do with matter. If matter is completely different from the 5-year-old body to your current body, but your constant identity is still there, then we can know for certain that that constant identity is not at all connected to matter. It is not, it has nothing to do with matter. So then, okay, so then we start there. Who are we? Who are we underneath that? Well, we are powerful. We are we are full of joy, of deep satisfaction. We are loved. We are supported. We are intelligent, wise. Satchit Ananda is commonly said from the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic text, is that we are full of knowledge and bliss, and we are never dying. We're eternal. So when we understand who we really are, let's connect there. Let's connect there. So I have a question for you. Um, and actually, Ambika, I hope, and maybe even Colleen, you can put it in the chat. I want you guys to play along with me. So, and I'll answer too, just to keep the flow happening. But so I have a question, and this is looking at different paradigms that we live under, right? And what leads us to the material pool, I'll call it, that whole chain of anger, desire, frustration, that whole clump of negative emotions that cycle through. So what's something material? What's something material that people strive for, that people want? What are things like beautiful houses, lakefront houses, uh, high positions, And feel free to chime in here if anybody wants to add any. What are things people want? Material things, physical things that people want or strive for? Yes, Hambika.
I'm going to join in here with you.
Yeah, I would love that.
I would say probably satisfaction in like work that they're doing. Maybe like
I'm gonna pause you before you go to the next one. So satisfaction, I'm gonna call more like an experience, and we're actually gonna go there. But right now, you said satisfaction in the work you're doing. So what's the physical thing that you want? The material thing? Maybe you want like a job that fits your psychophysical nature, something like that. Like that's the physical thing, the material thing. Yeah.
yeah, financial stability.
Money in the bank,
Yeah.
money coming in,
Yeah.
stability, money coming
Children
in,
might be a thing too.
kids. Yeah.
Um, yeah, those are some things that are just coming to my mind.
Yes. Yeah, that's perfect. So we look at that list, right? And now we're gonna ask the question, how come? How come people want jobs that fit their psychophysical nature? How come people want money coming in or money in the bank? How come people want kids, or how come people want a big house on the lake? How come?
Probably, on the at the core of it, like there's this desire to be happy, just striving to be happy and have a lasting happiness. Have that happiness stay and not go away.
Have the happiness, enjoy happiness. Yes, we're
Yeah.
after experiences. Maybe we're after what you said is like um, uh, stability, right? When you were talking about money, I turned it to something material like money coming in or money in the bank. But you're saying stable, so we want to feel safe. We
Mhm.
want stability, and maybe we want enjoyment or happiness, right? Or we want yes, I see Colleen's writing conditioning and successful lifestyle. So success, we're wanting success. Like, what does success mean to you? Maybe you
Mhm.
want to chat, type in there. What do you mean when you say success? Um, Whether it's the physical thing or the experience, right?
Mhm.
So there's two lists we're running right now. One is the physical things we want, and then the how come we want those physical things. It's usually we want an experience. We want to feel happy or enlivened or safe. We want to feel aligned, right? The job that meets your psychophysical nature. Maybe it's you want to feel inspired and aligned.
Mhm.
So what I'll invite us to look at is, and let's see if Colleen wrote more. No, okay. So what I invite us to look at is these two lists, and I want to ask the question: are there people that have a job that fits their psychophysical nature, kids, and a big house, and money in the bank, who don't feel happy, stable, alive, aligned, and satisfied? Are there people like that even theoretically that could exist?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you hear all the
Yes.
time, even I've heard in, some of your classes from having worked with like A-list actors and things who, you imagine that they have it all and they're still not happy.
So that could exist. That someone has all those things on the material list, and they don't have the experiences they're after.
Mm.
Okay. And then I'll ask another question. Are there people in the world that feel safe, that feel aligned, that feel satisfied and happy, who don't have kids and a job that meets their psychophysical nature and a house and money in the bank? Are there
Mhm.
people like that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, absolutely. So you were like, yes, 100%, absolutely. So what we're looking at here now, those lists might overlap, right? Those lists might overlap, that people have some on both lists. But what we're looking at, if there's people who have things on that material list who don't have anything on that experience list, or don't have the things they're after on the experience list, and then if there's people who have those experiences but don't have those material things, what we just proved experientially is that those two lists are not intrinsically connected. Those two lists are not intrinsically connected. A doesn't lead to B.
Mm.
There's not an automatic, like, if I get this house, I'm going to feel this way. If I have kids, I'm going to feel this way. There's not an intrinsic connection.
Mm.
So why we're looking at that? Well, one of the reasons is because a lot of times we live in a paradigm, and these paradigms that I'm going to mention, they're kind of an illusion. They're
Mm.
this, I'll call them have, do, be. So like if I have that house, then I'll hang out on the lake, and then I'll be satisfied and happy and fulfilled. If I
Mm,
have that job, then I'll do things that inspire me, and then I'll be satisfied, right? If I
mm,
have those kids, then I'll be loving, I'll do loving things, and then I'll feel love,
mm,
right? So that's the have, do, be.
mm,
It's dependent on the external, completely dependent. And we just showed in our last little discussion that there's no guarantee that in that model that you're going to actually get the experience that you're
mm,
after. You may not. There's no intrinsic connection. So then there's another one that's similar. Well, sometimes I call it do have be, or the shorter version, which is more aligned with myself, is do be. I it's like if I do good, I am good. If I do this, then I'll feel. If I accomplish this huge feat, if I serve this many people, then I'll feel valuable,
mm,
or I'll feel accomplished. But
mhm,
there's again, I might do all of that, and the mind loves to cheat us. So still we might feel like, oh, I've served 1,000 people. That's nothing. I need to serve 10,000 people. Okay, I've served 100,000. Oh, now I should serve 2 million. Okay, I've served 2 million people. You know what? To really be significant, I'm going to serve 5 million or
mm,
10 million or a billion. So the thing is that ideas, thoughts, concepts, desires, they're always flowing. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse like rivers into the ocean. They're just constantly coming in. But see, that it's the success actually comes, happiness, those experiences of I'm satisfied, I'm loved, I'm fulfilled.
mm,
Those are actually us understanding the be, do, have paradigm of life, which means intrinsically as a soul, I am loved. Intrinsically as a soul, I am valuable. Intrinsically as a soul, I'm honored and cared for and supported and valued. So if we start now, we can have the havings, we can do the doings. I'm not at all uh, saying let's just be, just be. As soon as there's being, there's doing, right? You're sitting on a chair reading a book. You're sitting and you're reading. There's two doings that even happened automatically just by sitting on a chair reading a book. Like just be. No, in the being there's going to be doing and there's going to be having. All our goals, we can still move towards them, but if we're in the illusion that accomplishing that goal is going to give us the experience, then that's the carrot and the stick. That's the proverbial, like donkey like going chasing the horse, just chasing the carrot on the stick. What if we could take that carrot, we chew on it, and we enjoy that carrot, and we're like, that's living in the bean. Like I am valuable, I am loved. And it's not positive thinking. I want to be really clear here. It's not, oh, tricking the mind and being positive. No, it's pausing, taking some really long deep breaths and connecting to the reality that's inside of you that you already know about what is true about the self that animates this body, and connecting to those. And it might, there's other processes, I'm not going to get into that now, but it might take some time, some effort, some conscious attention, some practices. But once we start from that, we start from the being, then the doing and the having naturally flow, and whatever comes, satisfaction is there. Whereas if we don't achieve this goal, then the satisfaction never comes. So it makes us much more weak and dependent. And ultimately, it's a form of an illusion. Those two paradigms, have, do, be, and do, have, be, or do, be, those are ultimately illusions, because we at the core don't need anything external to feel loved, powerful, kind, gentle, secure, safe, valuable, accomplished, caring, supported. We can connect to those experiences today. We don't need to achieve something that takes 20 years or 5 months. We can connect to those experiences today. And let's take it even further. Let's look at our nature and what we do with our having or our doing or our being. Let's look at us. Well, one thing I can say is we are always serving something. We are either serving our family, serving our pets, our animals, serving our plants, serving society, serving our country, serving our employer, or serving our goals, serving our desires, serving our ambitions, or we're serving our senses, we're serving God, we're serving our friends, we're always serving. And if you look around and you really take in, yeah, we're pretty much always serving. And I mean, always is maybe an extreme word, but you can't avoid service in this life. Like, there's gonna be service 100%. Maybe it's not constant, but we are often, the majority of the time, really serving something. Even we're serving our bodies when we sleep, when we eat, when we go to the restroom, when we take a shower, we're serving our bodies. So I bring that up to say again, so if we understand that have nothing to do with matter, that we're that 5-year-old self, that current self, there's something deep within us that animates those bodies, and we have nothing to do with matter. And we remember that we're like leaves on a tree. Our source, where we come from, and the the love, all those experiences that we want. I always go to love because I feel like everybody wants love. But the love that we want, the security that we want, the satisfaction that we want, all those experiences, they're already there in an intrinsic connection with our source. Now, our source, like, I happen to have a personal relationship with my source, I'll call him Govinda or Shamsundar. Those are my two favorite names of my source, of the divine. So Govinda and Shamsundar, some call Krishna, but Govinda and Shamsundar, I know Govinda loves me. I know he's got my back. I've had enough experiences to have that. So I'll offer it, though, as truth, that he has everyone's back. He has your back. He is waiting for you to stop this cycle of, I want this and I'm going to do this, and if I have to do that, then I'll feel this. That's the illusion. That's why we're here on this planet, because we have some desire to enjoy in a specific way, or a way that's disconnected to God, disconnected to our source, separate. So here we are on a planet where you don't see God, because that's the only place that we can actually go after our desires. Because if we lived in a place where God existed, we would never be accomplished. No attention would come to us. All the attention would be on God. Because if God was actually here, he would be so beautiful and handsome and intelligent and strong and attractive and self satisfied and wise, and just to such an unlimited degree that everyone would be fully absorbed in an interaction with God. Right? He's expansive. He can have personal relationships with each of us, the bazillions of us. That's like, it's unimaginable. But so if God was here, we wouldn't be able to have our ambitions, whatever they might be, right? So I bring that up to say, when we serve God, when we engage our natural mood to serve, we're serving something always. So when we transform that into an offering to God with love, or at least just a stepping stone to love, if you don't feel love right now, a stepping stone to gain love, right? When you meet someone, you want to develop that relationship, you offer them something, they offer you something, and then the love starts to build. So, in that same way, we can transform any of our ambitions, any of our interests, what our psychophysical nature is. I truly feel inspired, and this is not what I was taught growing up in this, like, Krishna consciousness movement. I was taught, like, you chant, you read, you do, this is what you do, this is what is serving God. And what I know now is that serves. And if I have any inclination towards a certain arena of the in the world, like, I love self-development, I love psychology, I love self-realization, I love that stuff. So instead of just being like, oh yeah, I love those things, no, I'm going to now teach 4-day intensive seminars. Right now they're called Sattva Tov, and I'm learning the kind of the map of what Sattva Tov is from day 1 to day 3 or 4. They also have 6-day seminars, but right now in January we're going to teach a foundational course, which is usually 3 days. Me and other co-leaders of this seminar are going to lead for it over 4 days. And I'm doing that as an offering. I'm going to do the entire thing as an offering. Like, I love this stuff. And I love helping people wake up to self realization, to knowing who they really are, what they really want without any illusions. And and that means I'm already successful. If 5 people show up, if 100 people show up, I'm engaged perfectly. I'm situated in my constitutional position as a servant of God, and I'm serving with love and all my interests and my passions. And now I am in like bliss. Like, I can't tell you how satisfying that is. It's like, it's enlivening, it's exciting. I feel so connected, right? And that is my understanding of yukta vairagya, which is the Sanskrit term that means utilizing everything in the service of the Lord. So so that's watering the roots. So if I'm a leaf on the tree, if I'm part of God, I'm part of the spiritual realm, and I am trying to just satisfy my senses, that's like pouring water on the leaf. But if I pour water on the root of that tree, me as a leaf, I get enlivened, I get satisfied. And watering that root is doing anything I do as an offering. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says directly, offer it to me. Everything you do, offer it to me. What you eat, what you cook, what you do, offer it. Do it as an offering to me. So um, that is, and then you develop a higher taste. And when you have that higher taste, then you transform your desires into desires to satisfy Krishna, desires to satisfy Sham Sundar. When you do that, then your desires are the experience of the giving and serving is so blissful that you're not dependent on the external result of it, because you are engaged now in your intrinsic constitutional nature, which is serving, but it's even deeper than that. It's serving connected to who you are, what your being really is, right? What your being really is. And we're not spiritual beings having human experiences. We are human beings, sorry, we are not human beings having spiritual experiences. We are spiritual beings having human experiences. So that means if we really know who we are as a spirit, then everything flows from there. And then this pool of material existence that, like, the mind wants something, the desire, our senses want something, we don't get it, we get angry, we forgetful and bewildered, and we lose our intelligence, and we create what we don't, what's horrible and miserable and painful, and what we don't really want. And we're like, what are we doing here? That all of that can't can't actually happen if we're engaging our senses, our body, our mind, our interests in the service of Krishna. That material pool isn't something we try to avoid. Like, there are yogis that are like, I'm going to have no desires. I'm just going to meditate. I'm just going to have no desires. That's almost impossible. Thank you, Colleen. I see your enthusiasm. So I'm feeling enthusiastic, and I'm so grateful it's being received. So what I see, which is so powerful, is the chain of suffering stops because we get the higher taste. So, like, if you're eating something and someone gives you something that tastes sweeter or better, you can let that other thing go really easily. It's like, oh yeah, I would much rather this, right? So say you're eating, I mean, I'm not going to give analogies because I don't know everyone's taste buds, but what I realize is it's the same with spiritual life. If we're trying to stop ourselves from watching TV, stop ourselves from scrolling, stop ourselves from overeating, guess what? That is so much harder than if we consciously use our intelligence to say, what do I love? And how can I offer that to God? What do I love? And how do I offer that to God? Because while I'm preparing for this January seminar, I have no time for overeating. I have no time for scrolling. I have no time for TV because I'm engaging my senses, my mind, my desires in something that's aligned with what my interests, my inspirations, right? Inspiration, in spirit. So we should really listen to our inspirations. Like, yeah, that's a whole nother class. So I'm not going to go there. But inspirations, that means we're connected to the spirit. We're in spirit. We're connected to what drives us. So when we're connected to what our inspirations are, and we don't do it just for ourselves, because we do it just for us, it's like watering the leaf. And we might end up like someone who has all those things on the list of haves, or even the list of do's. I get to do this or that, but we don't have the experiences of the being. We might find ourselves like, I don't feel loved. I don't feel successful. I don't feel satisfied. I don't feel kind and accepting of myself, right? We might be like constantly chasing the having and the doing, and we never get to the being. But if we can connect to being, what inspires us, and how do I offer that to God? How do I transform that into a service to God? And that can be just our consciousness, like I'm serving these souls that are God's children. That it's an offering. So we can transform it literally with our awareness and our consciousness and our intention. And then we're in the being, and then the having, the doing naturally flow, and we're not dependent on them. And we might manifest whatever, a multi-million dollar estate or career, or we might be home with our family and serving our family, right? The external doesn't dictate the experience. We start with the internal, and then everything flows. So that's the class for today. If there's any questions or comments, I'm welcoming them.
Thank you so much, Haripriya. I mean, there's so many things from that class that, we're moving things inside of me, which is, always a sign of a good class.
What a churn.
Yeah.
Nice.
um, but you said something at one point, and I don't know, maybe I'm going to open up a whole can of worms here, but but you said, I know Govinda has my back. Knowing that this higher power loves me and
Mhm.
that I'm loved, I think is a concept for a lot of people, that is really maybe hard to digest, or kind of incredible, like an incredible thing where it's just like,
Mhm.
well, why, why, and how do I
I
feel?
Okay. I
Yeah.
love it. I love that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I'm wondering how you got to that realization of like, no, yeah, I know I'm loved. I know Govinda has my back.
Well, I'm going to answer your question in kind of maybe a roundabout way.
Mm.
Because what I can say for certain for anyone who's listening is, if you feel some affection for someone in the world, let's start with what we've experienced, right? Because maybe it's a concept, or you don't have a relationship yet with Krishna or God, or Govinda or Sham. So like you're like, what? That's like so far from me. Okay, so let's not go there. Let's start with something basic, like someone you feel affection for, someone you feel, I'll say, love for, right? If you think about that relationship and how it developed. Like really look at it, think about it, peel yourself back. Like, okay, yeah, I enjoyed being in their company. Okay, like what happened for you there, and really take yourself there, because each of us will have a different, I think, a different chain of things that happened. Maybe, excuse me, maybe in a different order, right? Maybe you cooked something for them. Maybe you had them over for dinner. Maybe you went on some adventure together. Maybe you read together. Maybe you just were in silence and at peace in each other's company, like whatever it was, just really like put yourself there and remember it. And remember that maybe the first few months, maybe the first year, like what developed that relationship and what did you do What did you do that augmented that relationship, that increased or enhanced that relationship? What did the other person do that increased it? And so I'll invite you, pick one of those things, just one, and see and ask yourself a question, because it's much more powerful to ask yourself a question than for me to tell you anything. But ask yourself the question, like, how could I do that for God? How could I offer that to God? How could I? So, like, yeah, if you were reading together, like, okay, how would I read with God? I mean, I have some answers that come up in my mind, but I think your answers are more important for you. And so, same thing, like, oh, how do I cook for God? Okay, well, again, like, those are the answers that are already inside of you. And so, I think it's starting with the right question is like, what did I do to enhance a relationship? And can I, not can I, because I know you can, how can I? How can I engage that in my relationship with God, which may not be, maybe non existent right now? But let's just suspend disbelief for a moment and say, let's see what happens if I take a step towards that relationship. That's what I would do. Start with.
Yeah, I think those tangible first steps are always the ones that, get things rolling. So thank you so much again, Haripriya. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say after too, like not just like the first steps, like every
Yeah.
day you could ask yourself that. Every week, maybe every day sounds too intense. Once a month. That still
Mm,
means in a year you'll have consciously connected to your relationship with your source 12 times.
mm,
It
mm,
doesn't take much, actually. Think about that. At the end of this year's gonna happen anyway.
mhm,
This year, it'll be November 2026, no matter what you do. So by November 2026, do you want to feel like God's got my back? Okay, so then what are you going to do? How many times a month? And make it achievable, make it doable. 2 times a month, I'm going to pause and remember a loving relationship, remember things I offered to someone I felt love for, and I'm going to offer that to Krishna. I'm going to offer that to my source, whatever you call your source. And then that's 24 things in the next year that you're going to offer. And that, I guarantee, if you're offering 24 things, you're going to feel a response. You're going to feel something. So, yeah.
yeah, that's really wonderful advice, and again, the entire class had lots of really wonderful advice. So if it's the first time that you're watching, and you'd like to go back and listen to the video again, we do record these live sessions. If you'd like to join us in the future for other live sessions, we do host these every Monday evening and Thursday morning, depending on where you are in the world. You can also engage and interact with our speakers like Haripriya, by either, like Colleen was doing today, by typing into the chat, asking questions. You can also DM us on Instagram. Our Instagram is Ashram Talks ENG. You can follow us there for more updates as well. And if there are any topics or anything that you'd like to explore as well, we're always very open to hearing those topics and supporting the community in that way. So thank you again so much, Haripriya. Thank you to all of you for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next episode of Ashram Talks.